Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Got all the stickers on up, and well, why not? Screw it, eh? My old sticker, my new sticker, Calvin, the whole crew, you are up. So that's first of all. Second of all, I mentioned, I think in yesterday's video, that I had sold off a couple of the mini bikes, and I mentioned a Baja dirt bug that came from Tractor Supply. I'm not sure where this thing comes from. It's centrifugal clutch, made in China, like 2 horsepower motor. It doesn't have that many miles on it. I got it from my son, who got it from a friend of his, who bought it for his wife, who weighs maybe 110 pounds, and they were going to ride it around the property, except their property has some, and it didn't have enough. Even though she only weighs 110 pounds, it didn't have enough to drag her up and down the hills. These kind of bikes really are good for the driveway, in my opinion. There were two, so once again, the dirt bug and that guy. The dirt bug had trouble with a chattering clutch, a ringing clutch, a clutch that when you idle it down, the clutch kind of grabs and stalls the engine when you stop moving. So on that one, I took it apart and cleaned it up, and the inside of the clutch drum here was really rusty on that one. So I cleaned that one up and smashed it all together, and I actually lubricated this area with WD-40. I was on YouTube a couple of nights ago, and I was looking up some videos on servicing centrifugal clutches, and what was interesting enough, a guy actually had a dirt bug, and he took it apart and did exactly what I did, and he used WD-40 to lubricate that bearing. Anyway, I did it, and it seems to be running, and the guy made a comment that, you got to do this occasionally, or you beat up on the bronze bushing that's in there, and you actually want to occasionally service them. My comment about using WD-40, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but if you're only going to use WD-40, considering that this is sticking outside the clutch, so to speak, outside, this is up against the guard more or less. I mean, it makes it very easy. You can just drill a hole right in the guard, a small hole. It doesn't have to be like, an inch across or anything, but you kind of just drill a hole in the guard right about there, and stick your little WD-40 wand in there and give it a little spritz, and you're all good, right? You roll it back and forth a few times to make sure the WD-40 gets into the clutch bushing, and the clutch bushing alone, not on the shoes, folks, and all is good. Well, after watching that video, YouTube offered me up another video on actually the Motovox, servicing the clutch on a Motovox, and he basically said, take it apart just like I did with the other one, make sure all the following are clean just like I did with the other one. But he said, don't use WD-40, use high temperature wheel bearing grease. So what I did is I dug up my official Coastal high temperature wheel bearing grease, and I'm going to lubricate up this face right here. Then I'm going to make sure both sides of the washer are lubricated up. And then I'm going to make sure the bearing's well lubricated up in that face. Not too much on this face because you don't want it to get thrown and get on the shoes. And I'm going to smash the whole thing back together again. And we're going to see how bad it is. The clutch on the Motovox was ringing bad enough that you could be pushing it along with the engine not running, and it would ring and make it hard to push, and then you would stop, and then you would start pushing, and it would be fine for 20 steps or so. Then it would start ringing again, and the ringing is literally this thing starts oscillating. Instead of just spinning, it starts oscillating due to the friction, and that oscillation really isn't good for it because it's probably really beaten up on the bushing pretty bad. So I'm going to grease it up with this. I'm going to smash it all together. And probably what we'll do is tomorrow when it dries out a little bit, I'll get a ride out of it. The Motovox is going to get picked up hopefully on Monday. The dirt bug left already, and hopefully they don't break it before Monday. And that'll be the two smallest of the mini bikes leaving here. The reason why I got rid of these two little ones is they're really just too small for me and my sons, and they're good for the driveway. They're good for people who weigh 100, 110, 120 pounds on the thicker end of it. Yeah, I know some of us 200 pounders ride around on them, and I did ride around on them. But if you start roughhousing them too much, and particularly if you get them flying and you get bouncing on them and so forth, if a weld lets go and one goes ass over tea kettle, it's kind of hard on the face and the butt and the knees and the elbows and everything else that'll go crashing into the pavement, right? So one should really try to leave those for kids. I was tormenting Revs It Up a little bit about China bikes. And one thing I am going to say in the positive land of China bikes, typically you could get these non-running China bikes cheap, free, like get it off my property, that piece of crap, or $25-50, especially if they're ugly looking. Well, for a kid who wants to learn about these things, particularly if you could pick up 2 or 3 of them and you could have less than $100 invested, or maybe 4 of them and have a less than $100 invested. I mean, at $20 for a carb, $20 for a starter, gasket sets are cheap. Even if you could buy the whole head assembly, or even if you want to reach deep and buy just a crappy replacement engine, you could get it with the constant velocity transmission, the CVT, for less than $300, and then smash it on there and have something to ride around. So not that I'm telling you should buy one of these, especially if you're my size, somewhere around 200 pounds. I mean, if you put your 200-pound tail on this thing and start horsing it about, especially if you want to launch yourself off a jump or something, or play watch me do a wheelie, you're going to break it. The frame's going to break. Something's going to snap, and you're gonna break it. William Statton had that happen. I don't know if he ran off a jump or whatever, but he actually he tells me he snapped the front wheel off, and and that's just not good for you. I don't care who you are and how strong you are and how smart you are and everything else. Getting flipped ass over a tea kettle and landing on your head is not good for you. At the minimum, your friends get to watch you make a fool of yourself. At the maximum, you can end up, on the wrong side of the grass. So please, guys, these things are kids' toys. These things are disposable. These things are not that strong, so don't go crazy with them. I do not own any of the modern Honda stuff or Polaris stuff or Kawasaki stuff or any of that kind of stuff. All my stuff is big, old, heavy iron. But like that guy is a Honda 125 quad. It is so overbuilt, it is so heavy that it barely has enough engine to carry itself about. But that obviously slows you down, and it's got some strength built into it. I mean, this guy's got to weigh 500 pounds plus. I mean, these things weigh a ton because they got some real metal there. I'm able to put these on, including the engine. I'm able to pick that up and put it on and off the shelf by myself. The 70cc one too. So there's a lot less metal there, folks. A lot less metal. I can't pick up that 125 by myself and get it on that shelf, but I was able to easily do that one. So just to give you an idea. All right, folks. Thanks everybody for watching. Go check out Revs It Up. Go check out all the people I showed you on my subscription board there. Folks, remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, get out there, and please, please enjoy all your days. You don't know how many you're going to get, and you don't know how many good ones you're going to get, so get out there and have fun. Bye now, folks.